This is Virgo on the Freak, and I'm with a very, very happy, pleasant, splendid league freak. How you doing there, mate?
Oh, always happy and splendid and pleasant.
Yeah. So, you're pretty happy about tonight's game?
No, we've got the weakest fucking forward pack. It's weak as piss, and it's got just this. It's got a backbone like a shark. It's made out of fucking cartilage. They just bend. They bend in the face of a bunch of teenagers. What a bunch of fucking weak cunts.
And, well, let's get some good news in there, okay? The club's made a big signing during the week. Trent Barrett's going to be the assistant coach. Yeah,
because, anytime you can get a guy that ruined one club, you got to fucking get him on board, eh? And you know what's stupid is that if the club can find the money to ever pay out Ivan Cleary, then Trent Barrett's next in line. How hilarious is that after all of the shit that I've said about Trent Barrett being a dope? And that's what he is. He's not a first grade coach. He'll be really good at the under-20s at Penrith, where any idiot could coach them, eh?
Yeah. See, the problem Penrith's got at the moment is their attack.
Yeah.
And they don't have a coach who knows how to do that.
Yeah.
And so they've brought in another coach who doesn't know how to do that as well. And I assume they're going by the rule of two wrongs make a lesser wrong.
Well, here's the thing, right? Trent Barrett, he's absolutely trashed his reputation. And he's trashed any thought that he can coach people to be any sort of successful team. And so you get him on board, and you just know that any time that there's a function out at Penrith, he can put the seats out because he just turns up with what's that place where you hire the trailers from?
What, Kennards?
Kennards, yeah. He pulls up with a Kennards trailer full of fucking IKEA seats, and he just lines them out. It's better than going to one of those fucking agencies where you get someone for the day. You just get Trent Barrett, give him $250,000 to do that shit.
You know, he'd be great as a public speaker because he'd not only bring himself to do the public speaking, he'd bring the chairs as well.
Yeah, that'd be handy, eh?
Yeah.
We should check that we're fucking working, hey? Let me check that we're working.
It looks like it is.
Is it? Have you checked it?
I can see it on the live feed there. I dare say one of our audios isn't working because that's usually what happens.
Yeah. Well, we like to give people 50%, and then they can pay for the other 50%. Let me see that it's working. Hang on. There. Well, we're fucking can be heard.
We like to give people. I think we nailed it for the first time properly.
I know, that's the first time we've gone live, and it's been just 100% beautiful.
We're bound to fuck it up entirely from here on in every time.
Yeah, pretty much. So, did you watch the game tonight?
I was watching a bit of it. It was hard to watch. You know what? I was watching it thinking, this looks like I'm watching the West Tigers from 2018. That's how limited Ivan Cleary's coaching is. And I must admit, at the time when Cleary left, because he'd made so many huge changes to the Tigers that needed to happen, I was a bit disappointed that he left. But looking at the way Penrith are playing under him, I'm sort of, I don't mind anymore.
Yeah, could you imagine Maguire at Penrith?
Could you?
Yeah. In my dreams.
Yeah. I wonder how many Penrith fans who wanted Griffin gone last year and now begging for him to come back.
I never understood it, hey? I never understood. There were so many people that were they were just pissing and moaning about our attack. And I just looked at where we were on the ladder. Because I don't give a shit about our attack, really. It's I don't need you to play pretty football. Just go out there and win the fucking game. And that's what they did last year. And this year, we threw the ball around all day in this game. And we were beaten up the guts by a bunch of teenagers on the Broncos. It's just pathetic.
Well, last year, the club averaged 21 points per game.
Yeah.
That's 5 points per game more than they're averaging this year.
Yeah, and look, people are going to have a go at Nathan Cleary. Let me tell you, he's worth $1 million. That kid, he is such a good player. Like, not one shred of anything bad belongs on his shoulders for this year, and it's going to be because they're going to connect it with his dad being the coach, which is always the problem with doing something like this. But I mean, what do you think of Nathan Cleary's performance this year?
I can't blame him. I think too much of the problem is Ivan Cleary. It's not because he's the father of Nathan. It's because Ivan Cleary is not a coach who knows how to coach a threatening attack.
It's weird because across the middle third of the field, all we do is shuffle the ball. There's no decoy runners. There's nothing. It's just shuffling the ball across to the edges of the field.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, prior to this game, okay, I'm just looking at the ladder from last week. At the end of last week, okay. These are the teams who have scored less points than the Panthers this year, okay?
Yeah.
The Titans by 1 point.
Is that it?
Yeah. The Bulldogs by 49 points. And the Cowboys by 14 points.
Wow, and the Titans' attack this year from day one has been atrocious.
Yeah. The Panthers, though, have got reasonably good defence. It's better than a lot of the teams in the top 8. But their attack is just dire.
Yeah.
It lacks venom. It lacks any variance.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like he says to Nathan Cleary, try and make something happen, but there's no one else around who's working with him. And so when you've got a halfback who's trying to create opportunities and there's no real structure for any of the plays in attack, every end of every set is just going to be guesswork.
Yeah, and there was a play tonight where I believe it was Cleary. He got the ball out wide, and it was closer to the Broncos line, and it was just there was nothing happening. He basically had to take a hit up, and when we're in the middle of the field and we're close to the opposition line, we literally just take hit ups. Like, we don't throw anything at the team. When we get out wide, we're a little bit dangerous. And that comes down to I hope Ned Zellick's listening, because that comes down to the individual brilliance of our outside backs. I love Ned Zellick, I always wanted to be a Socceroo when I was a real little kid at school.
I'd say it's due to Kickow on one side, and I think Naden's on the other. Or is Naden on the same side as Kickow? I know they're on the same side now, aren't they?
Well, you know what? Kickow's been switching sides in the last few weeks, and I remember you saying he should start doing that, and he has started doing that. And Kickow's really the only player that we've got up front that is any sort of attacking worry to an opposition team.
There's no real force through the middle.
No.
It looks like they're keeping the same pack rotation for next year, which means it's going to be the same again next year. They need someone there to fire up those middle forwards. And I know Mark Carroll apparently was talking to Campbell Gillard this year, and he couldn't even get the job done. So I don't know how you scare Campbell Gillard into playing harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with Campbell Gillard because he will have small patches in games where you sort of think, oh, he's back, you know. But it just stops. It just disappears. And it did it again tonight. And there's so many forwards, you know, for the Panthers that just don't. No one is worried about playing the Panthers back. No one at all. And I tell you another player that they're not worried about, and it's Edwards at the back. Like what does he do in attack? You list all of the attacking fullbacks in the game. Edwards has got to be in like the last 3 at best.
Yeah, as I said, I've always thought that Caleb Aikens looked like a better fullback for the Panthers than Edwards did.
Yeah.
The kid runs the ball back a bit harder. He makes good meters every game. I'd like to see him get a regular run at fullback there and put Edwards on the wing. I think he'd be fine on the wing because he doesn't have much in the way of ball skills. And it doesn't look like it's developing any further either. He's just going to be a ball runner at the back, which in today's game, you need more than that.
Yeah, and he's not even all that good of a ball runner. Like, he's not someone that's going to overpower you, and he's not someone that's going to get you on the first few steps, the first 5 metres, and he's not someone that's going to just outpace you. Like, I just wonder what they're expecting out of him, because I agree with you. It's not like he's developing into, someone that's got a nice passing game or something. And I know he's a young bloke, but at some point you've got to start looking for that spark. You got to look for that extra thing. And I just don't think he has that extra thing that you need to be a fullback. And there's a million great fullbacks in the NRL. Like, there's heaps of them, apart from Clint Gutherson, who's a reserve grader. There's heaps of great fullbacks, and Edwards I just feel like he's not a first grade fullback.
Yeah, no, I think, as I said, I think he'd make a good winger. That's about where his level's at, I think. Either way, they've got to change something up. They can't keep sticking with what they've been doing, because it's been failing most of the year.
Yeah.
And their attack it's not even close to dynamic. Like, as we said, like, the Titans have only scored 1 point less than them this year.
And they've been dreadful.
Yeah.
They've been dreadful.
Yeah. So, and they're another team that's playing with no real direction in attack.
Yeah. And
given that they've lost nearly every freaking game this year, it just shows you how bad Penrith is.
Exactly. It comes down to individuals doing something amazing. It comes down to Nathan Cleary running for the line. I mean, he's one of the best halfbacks I've ever seen in terms of just deciding to run the ball when he chooses to and stuff. He's amazing at that.
The problem he's got this year, though, is that he's got to run the ball more often, because there's no... He's one halfback who seems to have the least number of option runners either side of him every week.
Yeah.
And more often than not, that means he has to take it to the line and hope that something happens. And that's the problem, though, is that if you start doing that too much, the ball running in the halfback starts being a bit easier to defend and easier to predict when it's going to happen. And that's making it easier for teams to shut him down. And again, that's no fault of his. He needs forwards running off him. He needs Edwards hanging around his inside there. Need option runners out wide. Get the defence stopping from sliding. Get them making second guesses about who's going to get the ball. None of that's happening.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he is always taken on a sliding defence because there's no one stopping them. There's no one at all stopping them. And it's almost a miracle that the outside backs, I mean, Ta'o has been phenomenal. He's doing it on effort. Naden is doing it on effort. Kickout is doing it on like just this ridiculous power running that he does. But no one's doing it because they're setting up really nice plays and running through big gaps. I mean, how many times do you see a Panthers player run through untouched? Like, it just doesn't happen because they're not opening up those gaps on the inside. And it comes from, like, not having that threat in the middle of the field, and they're not having any options in terms of ball runners that are coming through the line.
That's exactly right. It's something that they really need to work on is... You've got to put that defence in two minds, especially close to the line. Penrith close to the line look about as threatening as, I don't know, a dead magpie.
And the magpies have been dead for years.
There's just nothing there.
Yeah, it really is. And the scary thing is that, Ivan's come in this first year and, it's basically Griffin's team for the most part, and I worry about who he is going to sign for the club, because when we were talking about it last night, some of his signings for the Tigers are nothing short of catastrophic, and I wonder who they're going to be looking at over this off-season, because there's always players that become available. You got to wonder who they'll be looking at. I hope they don't look to sign someone like Packer up front. I just wonder where they're going to go with, because this team is, and we talked about it really early in the season, this team is basically locked in for a number of years. Like, this is their team, and they're not going to change the halfback, obviously, and I don't think they need to. They're going to have something different. I mean, they're going to have Burton next year by the look of it. when Maloney goes over to France, but it's not like they've signed any forwards or anything. And the other thing I think about Penrith too is that you look at the game tonight, they made so many mistakes and had so many just, sets they didn't complete. And that's been a problem for them for a long time. And Griffin sort of got that under control a little bit, and they got up to 4th place because of it. I don't think anybody has any issues with the fact that Penrith can play some damn good footy. But when you throw in all the mistakes that they make, it just kills them. It kills their entire run, and it's killed their season.
Yeah, and well, it killed their season very early on in the year too, because there's very little difference between the way they're playing now and when they were playing on that horror run of form at the start of the year.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
and I wonder if the difference has been that teams have settled after Origin and they've lifted, or whether it's just the Panthers have fallen away. I think it's maybe a bit of both.
I don't know. See, I don't think the Panthers have looked threatening even when they were winning those games. You got to look at the scorelines there. They were barely scraping home in those games. There was very little difference between their best and their worst.
Yeah.
They were just lucky, I think, to be playing teams during that Origin period where there was a fair bit of inconsistency from some teams during the Origin period.
Yeah.
They sort of got lucky through that area, kind of like Newcastle did as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good comparison, because they've sort of had a similar run at a similar time, and I think that they're both reverting back to where they should be.
Yep. Although Penrith should have been in the top 4.
Well, I was listening to the commentators tonight, and they were saying, like, not everyone, but there were a lot of people that were saying that Brisbane and Penrith were 2 of the teams to beat this year. Now, I never got it for Brisbane. I really did. There's too many issues with their team, and I always thought that. But Penrith, I really did. I thought that they were set for a run, and it just, didn't happen for them. And, they were in 4th place last year when they sacked the coach, and they've signed Cleary to a massive contract, and, it's a package deal with him and his son, basically, and, man, it hasn't worked out.
All I can say is, for all of those West Tigers fans who have been salty as fuck ever since Cleary left the club, have a look at the way the Panthers have played this year, calm down and be thankful that he left.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the thing I was saying the whole time, a lot of fans are sitting there getting their shits over Iron Cleary, and they've got this hatred towards him for leaving the club. Be thankful that he came in and cleaned out a lot of the roster that did not need to be there, and he cleaned out some of the coaching staff that had to go as well.
Yeah.
Huge things, and they were both positives. They need to happen. And B, look how crap he is. We upgraded from him to Maguire. That's the first time the Tigers have made an upgrading coach since Tim Sheens replaced Terry Lamb.
Oh my god, that's terrible, eh? Yeah. Oh man, it's if there wasn't so much involved in terms of the long contract they gave him and his son being at the club, I would be saying it's, Cleary just hasn't worked, and we don't need to see anymore, because, just look at their attack. Their attack is dreadful. It really is. And the issues that we've had all year are still there. If the coach can't sort out all of the drop balls and the penalties they give away, what's he saying to them? Is he ever saying to them, hold the fucking ball?
I feel obliged to ask.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're in the mood.
Yeah.
You might see where this is going.
Yeah. I don't actually. I have no idea. I'm kind of scared.
Given the way the Panthers are playing, with the roster they have,
Yeah.
and with the decision to hire Trent Barrett,
Yeah.
can Ivan Cleary challenge Matthew Elliott for the worst Panthers coach?
No, not at all. Matthew Elliott, all right. First of all, fuck you for saying this at this time.
You got to think about it, man. Cleary's got a very good squad, and last year this squad was scoring points at will whenever they needed to, and now they can't score a fucking point with 80 minutes on the bloody clock.
Matthew Elliott brought through 2 local juniors in 2 years, right? And he had the Queensland fullback who had an old prick of a forward talking shit to him openly in the media. Matthew Elliott was so bad that when Phil Gould come in and started talking to all the players and saying, what do you reckon about the game plan? They were saying to him, I've got no fucking idea what we're supposed to be doing. And he sacked him immediately. He had to pack up his fucking wind chimes and his incense burners and fuck off. And it was the best thing that ever happened to the club because he destroyed the Canberra Raiders, right? They're still trying to get over the Matthew Elliott era. They're probably out of it now. But, man, it took us fucking 5 years to get over the hangover of having that failure, that catastrophic failure, ruin our club from top to bottom so badly that we almost went broke.
My point here, though, is I'd argue that Ivan Cleary has a better squad at his disposal than what Elliott ever had when he first walked into the joint.
Well, bring up that fucking team that fucking what's his name had. Can we bring that up?
The one when Elliott first arrived?
Yeah. Rugby League Project.
2007.
Okay. And then we're going to teams.
Paul Ayton, Matthew Bell, Maurice Blair, Joel Clinton, Matthew Cross, Jeff Daniela, Brett Furman, Liam Georgetown, Michael Gordon, Craig Gower, Tim Grant, Michael Jennings, Luke Lewis, Junior Moores, Brian Norrie, John Numoali, Mark O'Halloran, Keith Peters, Luke Brutus, Frank Pritchard, Frank and Tony Pulatua, Luke Rooney, Jared Samet, Nathan Smith, Peter Wallace, Trent Waterhouse, Rhys Wesso, Richard Williams, Brendan Worth, Nick Youngquist. Okay,
so here's the thing, right? He has basically the core of a premiership winning team from 2003 still there, okay? He's got a couple of good youngsters in there as well. I remember seeing Junior Moores at Mount Druitt Workers Club one day, and he is maybe the biggest human being I've seen outside of the Pulatuas. He was fucking huge. Matthew Elliott ruined our club. He absolutely ruined it. And he managed to turn one of the best junior bases in the entire league into just a full stop for any young player. I mean, how do you bring through 2 junior players in 2 years when you're at Penrith? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, but they scored almost 200 points more than the current Panthers side did.
Yeah, but how much did they give up in defence?
Well, this is the thing. Maybe the club should have hired Matthew Elliott to be their attack coach and not Trent Barrett.
No.
Wow, this conversation's gone somewhere great.
No.
We're now debating the merits of Trent Barrett versus
Matthew Elliott. I think they both belong on the same sort of tier because they're both shit and they both don't belong in the NRL. One should be stacking chairs in Bunnings and the other one, I mean, who listens to fucking ABC radio? Seriously. Will we get more listeners?
I'd hope so.
It wouldn't be difficult.
So, is the Panther season over?
Yeah, I think it is. They're in 8th position now. I think the Sharks will win on the weekend. I think it's all over. Red Rover. They should start looking at where they're going to be having their Mad Monday. I know they've got to turn up in suits and drink fucking mineral water if you ask the media. But, yeah, it's all done. They need to look towards next year.
Well, you don't think they're going to beat the Cowboys and the Knights?
They should beat the Knights. I don't know about the Cowboys. Jason Taumalolo is having this week off, so next week he should turn up and, against their fucking soft as shit pack, he's going to run for like 400 metres, I reckon, eh?
Well, maybe if you put kick out lock, it might help to stem the flow.
You just say to kick out, look, I don't care where you're playing, just stand across from Taumalolo and tackle him.
Yeah, and then run at him.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That'd be an epic battle.
They're such a, I don't know how to rate Kickout, hey, because he runs wide, which is fine, but he's so damaging as a forward. I just don't know how to rate him, hey.
Yeah, he's got he runs the Gareth Ellis line.
Yeah.
A bit too often. I'd like to see him doing a bit more running another man in from the edge.
Yeah, just every so often. Yeah. Every few sets of six, just do a hit up.
Edwards should be told, I don't care what you're doing, if Kickout's got the ball, I want you running somewhere near him.
Yeah, I would actually sew a pocket onto Kickout's shorts and say, you know what, I want you to try and run and jump into his pocket whenever he's got the ball.
Well, see, maybe Edwards needs something a bit more obvious. So I think maybe when the Panthers got the ball, tie a chain around Edwards' neck and tie it onto the back of Kickout's pants.
What if they gave him one of those, those leashes that run a little bit?
Yeah.
The ones that have a 30-metre run or something when you got a dog.
The retractable ones, yeah, that's what he needs.
Yeah, those ones. And maybe a collar as well that you can shock him. When he gets more than 10 metres away from Kickout, it shocks him.
Just imagine that he's out the back and just having spasms everywhere.
Yeah, it'd be. Apart from being hot, it would just be fantastic for his football.
It'd certainly improve the visual aspect of watching Panthers games.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. He'd be. It looked like he was breakdancing out the back.
Panthers could start putting Midnight Oil songs at their games.
Oh shit! That would be fantastic. This would make Penrith Rugby League so much better. That's better than having a fucking horn that you blow before kick-off.
Yeah.
Like the poor cunts in Canberra have to go through.
Yeah. Imagine blowing your horn before a game of footy.
I always do.
Had to be said.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Well, the other thing, too, is moving on from Penrith.
Yeah.
The Tiger season ended last night as well.
Yeah, we both follow shit teams.
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
Kind of expected that performance.
Yeah. When Little had his leg just annihilated.
Yeah.
You kind of got the feeling that the universe was lining up, eh?
Yeah. Poor bastard.
I
ran a poll about Little. It got quite a few votes, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it was 208 votes this poll got. It went for just one day. And it was, should the West Tigers be thinking about getting rid of Jacob Little? And it's a tough one to make because you're getting rid of someone who's just got injured again.
Mm-hmm.
50% voted yes and 50% said no.
Yeah, look, I've said to you, I think that when you've got a hooker that is even slightly injury prone, you just can't. You can't do it.
That's the thing. He's such a young bloke, and he does have the potential to be something brilliant. And as a lot of people said, Benji Marshall's injury prone as well at the start of his career. The difference, I'd say, is Benji's freakish ability was far more obvious and had already been a match winner at the same time in their careers.
Yeah.
At the same time in their careers, Benji had played twice as many games. He'd won a premiership and played test footy. And that is the difference. And that's when Benji having, 2 or 3 shoulder reconstructions and a knee injury or something like that. Little's had I think one more injury. I think he's done both shoulders and both knees now. But for a hooker, you can't be getting around with busted joints like that.
No, you can't. I tell you what, you tell everyone, our listeners, what you think of where the Tigers are and how their season finished. And I'm going to take a break because this beer's getting to me. I'll just be back in a second.
Fair enough. Look, the Tigers, I think they overperformed a fair bit this year, given the squad they had. And given that they're kind of tied in with a lot of those guys they've got in the side who are chewing up much of their salary cap, I also wouldn't be surprised if they're stuck with all of them next year. And this side is probably somewhat worse next year. So I think they're going to need to buy a hooker who can play 80 minutes, because it looks like Little's going to be missing part of the season next year. He's going to miss another off-season again. I personally think they should stick with Little. And I just want to see what he can do when he gets one full season under his belt. I think he'd really come to the fore. But at some stage, if the injuries keep happening, the hard call's got to be made at some point. I don't know when it is, but it can't be too far away. That's about enough of the serious talk. I'm wondering what Freaky's getting up to. Got any questions for Freaky? Should we get him drunk? That'd be a good question. Don't know if anyone saw the meme that I created today, taking the piss out of Penrith.
All right, I'm back.
There we go. I just told him about that time he got arrested for sex crimes.
First of all, allegedly. I mean, come on, man. And second of all, I've got nothing. Oh, man. So what's this fucking meme that you started?
Yes. Did you like it? It's the first one I ever made.
What? Oh, yeah, that's right. I did like it, actually, but I can't remember it.
All right. It's got a picture of Ivan Clear at the top, and he's looking bemused, and he says, "How on earth do I fix our attack?" Yeah. And then Trent Barrett's beneath him smiling, saying, "I fixed Manly all by myself. I did me." Yeah. And Cleary's smiling and says, "Hired."
Yeah, it was a good one. I think I retweeted it, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I liked it and retweeted it. Yeah, I liked it. Like, why would you sign someone that's turned themselves into a punchline in rugby league?
Yeah, I don't get why they brought him back.
Yeah, it makes no sense. What's he going to add?
Here's my view on coaching staff and stuff like that, okay?
Yeah.
If they're that good, they would never have left in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when he was in our lower grades and that, and he was talking about he wanted to coach a first grade team, and I just never saw anything that indicated he would be a good coach. And he had success with our juniors, but most of the coaches we've had have had they haven't had sex, but they've had success with our juniors. And he's never indicated that he'll be a first grade coach. And look, I don't know how he'll be as an assistant coach. I feel as though there's some people that are really good assistant coaches and they can't make that step up. But, I just wouldn't have signed him. I think with all of the stupid shit that he carried on with, I would not want to be associated with that as a club.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. Can't agree with that at all.
So looking towards next year, and we've talked about this a little bit, we think the Tigers are going to have a rough year next year.
It's going to depend on what Holbrook can do with the Gold Coast basket case.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to do much.
I don't either.
So I don't think the Tigers are going to get the spoon, but I think they're going to be lower than 9th next year.
Mm-hmm. Do you reckon that they'll do you reckon that Maguire will be able to clear the cap of a few of these players? I mean, there's talk that Josh Reynolds will be gone.
Yeah, look, too. I mean, I think there's talk that they're going to get a medical retirement for Ben Madalino, I think.
Yeah.
That would help because he's on quite a big contract. If Reynolds can leave, even if the Tigers are going to pay out half his contract, if they have both of those happen, then they'll have freed up close to $1 million.
Which is crazy. Yeah. Do you think that next year Maguire will be looking to just blood junior players?
Yes and no. I think next year, in this off-season, he has to find a hooker.
Yeah.
We need an experienced hooker. We can't have another rookie coming up and expect them to be an 80-minute hooker from scratch. So we need an experienced hooker there. I don't know who we get. Don't know what's available. But I think that's going to be his priority at the moment. Because even if Little's fit, he's been playing for 4 years. He's played 38 games. He is yet to play an 80-minute match, I believe.
Yeah.
So we're going to need another hooker anyway.
I wonder if you could get either Rain or Pete's from the Gold Coast, either one of them. Because they've got, it's weird. The Gold Coast have the best hooker rotation in the NRL by quite some way, I believe. And I think that they're both starters, personally. And I think that the Tigers could get one or the other.
I'd love it if they could get Pete's.
Yeah, he'd be handy.
He'd be brilliant. Maybe they can do a swap deal. So the Titans can have Chris McQueen back and we'll take Pete's. Thanks, Jason Taylor.
Oh, jeez. That's didn't he get injured on the weekend, on Thursday?
He did. It was just more the timing of it all. We had a ton of back rowers there. It was going to be hard for anyone new to the club to come in and slot into the back row there. And he had a few injuries which are untimely, and he never got his spot back.
Yeah. What do you reckon about and it was one of those news articles where the club obviously put it out there, Chris Lawrence, we're thinking about getting rid of Chris Lawrence, and the club puts it out there saying, it might be time for him to retire. You know what I mean? I thought it was a little bit harsh, but I think that we've both seen that coming.
Yeah. The time's got to come soon where Chris Lawrence has to sit down and think about the long-term effect these horrible injuries he's had are going to have on his body for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
In the space of 6-7 years, he's had to have major work done on his hip after he dislocated it. He's had his face rebuilt. Just unluckiest bastard ever, because these are injuries that happened on the field. They weren't. I wouldn't say he's an injury-prone player, because these aren't repetitive injuries. These are two completely different freak shows things.
Yeah, he's had 3 or 4 catastrophic. And we talked about this the other night. If the whole squad had these injuries over the last 10 years, you'd say, wow, they've been unlucky. And it's all happened to him.
Yeah, it's insane. And so for me, it's hard to say I want him gone, but as a club, as a business, I think it's something they need to look at. And it's more for his own well-being. It's not because he's chewing up big cap space. He just isn't. He's very affordable. I don't even think he's on $400,000 a year. So he's not exactly expensive. And for the experience he's got, and he's still relatively young, I think he's only just turned 30 or 31 or so. So it's not like getting rid of him is something they need to do to free up cap space. It's more of a decision they've got to make in regards to his well-being.
Yeah.
And I think it's something they should probably do. Yeah. They've also got to look at... They've got a few weaknesses in the side. They need a goal kicker.
Oh, 100%.
A genuine, proper goal kicker. They need a fullback. And they need a hooker. And those 3 things are not cheap to buy.
No. Although I feel as though fullbacks... you look across the league, there are a lot of players that can have a go at fullback, and a lot of them can do a decent enough job. I also think there's probably a number of players in the lower grades that are just looking for an opportunity. Man, I'd like, if they could have got DWZ, I'm still filthy that they didn't get DWZ, because he would have been perfect for them. You know, having a proper, decent athlete, you know, in the side, in the outside backs. But at the same time, if they got a Darryl Halligan style winger that could basically do nothing else but kick goals, they really need to do it, because there's some of the games that they've lost this year just purely on goal kicking. And it's been dreadful for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been 2 games in particular. There's the first one against Penrith this year, and that one last week against the Bulldogs. That's the difference between them being in 9th place and being at, 7th.
Yeah. And
two games about goal kicking, that's it. I mean, the same goes for Cronulla with their goal kicking. So, yeah, it shows how important it is to have a good goal kicker. There isn't one at the club. It's just a whole part-timers.
And having to change goal kickers mid-season, I mean, that shows how bad it is to go into a season and saying, look, you're the dude. It's got to be a difficult decision for a coach to go up to a young bloke and say, listen, we can't have you kicking the goals anymore. You've cost us too much in terms of games. It's a big decision to make, but, it hasn't helped them.
I've had a thought about who they could sign.
Who?
I'm not saying this with any great joy, but if they're after a genuine goal kicker and nothing else, Aiden Caesar. He's been kicking in his career around 80%.
So is he staying at the Raiders though, or is he off contract?
Don't know, but with George the Nose coming,
the Snoz, yeah, that's good.
They've got Sam Williams there as well. Yeah, there's going to be too many halves there. Someone's got to leave. And I think if the Tigers went to Canberra and say, we'll take Caesar off your hands, Canberra would probably say, yeah.
Where would you place Caesar, though, on there?
5'8".
What about Benji, though? What would you do with him?
Probably move him to fullback.
Really? Holy shit.
I don't know. He's got to be somewhere where he can still do something. He's still got the step. This is the thing that's been surprising, is this year we've seen him bring out the crazy steps. Haven't seen him for years. He's been bringing them out the last few weeks. It's been great to see. No, look, I wouldn't put him at fullback. I'd probably put him at centre somewhere so he can still get his hands on the ball. He hasn't played there a few times, and wasn't disgraceful. So probably put him there, or just have him as a super sub, perhaps. But,
see, I would have Caesar. I would just chuck Caesar on the wing. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's someone who they should go after. The goal kicking is something they really need to fix up. And plus, if they had Caesar there, then it means if they get rid of Reynolds, they've got a half who can, who can play at NRL level, I guess. Once Benji's gone as well, so they don't need to worry about that. And he's not going to cost the bank either.
No, I would sign him for 2 years if they were going to do it.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't mind that. Then you can focus on spending a bit of coin on a hooker perhaps, or a fullback, and some props, some second rowers and a lock, and some centres and a winger, maybe 2. Wow.
Fullback.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Tigers went to Brandon Smith and said, we'll give you $1 million. What would happen?
Melbourne would say, we'll give him 1.1 million.
You reckon?
Yeah, because he is Cameron's replacement. They are not letting him go. Not in the world.
Yeah. But they'd have to do it this year. Like if that, say they freed up all that cap space at the end of the year, could the Tigers say to Brandon Smith, we'll give you $1 million this year coming up, and Melbourne, I reckon they would struggle to come up with that money. Because you could say in the following year, give him 1.2.
But if Melbourne say, well, we're going to make Brandon Smith the starting lock all year so that he's actually in the run-on side every game, knowing that the next year he'll be at his preferred hooker spot,
Mm-hmm.
then he's getting regular first-grade appearances, 80-minute appearances, which is exactly what he wants, knowing he's going to have the number 9 gig for good at a team that's going to be successful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I think Melbourne's got too much bargaining power in that arrangement. Same thing goes for if they would approach Radley. It'd be exactly the same situation. Because they're style players. Bruce's would just say, we'll just put him a lock.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I would put the question out there and make them make a decision. Yeah. I really would. And I agree with you. I think that for Smith, he could be playing at the Storm for 10 years, and he might win 3 premierships. At a canter if you look at the Storm lineup. But I would make him make the decision.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
There's no one really out there that I look at that is so far above all of the young players that are playing hooker. I think in a couple of years' time, it'll be when Smith retires, it's very likely that he will be the best hooker in the world. And yeah, I would say to him, make the decision, and put that pressure on Melbourne. And I don't think that the Tigers could lose chucking it out there saying, we're looking for the best of the best. We're looking to build something for the future. But at the same time, you do that, and when Brooks comes off contract, he's going to say, well, I'm not going to take less than $1 million, But yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, those are 2 signs they need to look at. They need to be smart about who they buy, and they can't be long-term signings. They've got to be short-term ones. So yeah, 2-year deals, stuff like that, and make them play for contracts.
Yeah, I think they need to get through the next basically 2 years, and when they come out of those 2 years, I feel as though if Maguire has brought through junior players and they'll have cleared some of that cap space, and they should be ready for him to finally build a team for himself, weirdly enough, after all that time.
Yeah, it's going to take him 2 years to clear McQueen, Reynolds if he can't find another club, and Packer.
Yeah. Do you know, when does Packer come off contract?
He's got 2 years to go, I think.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I think Madaleno does too. Not sure.
See,
I think that's what signed to 4-year deals, those two.
That's crazy.
Thanks, Ivan. That's what you got coming up for you.
I know that, and that really scares me. That really, really scares me, because there's some of them contracts that Ivan Cleary signed for players there that they're just catastrophic for the Tigers.
Yeah, they're lumbered with them, and they're big deals. I've looked at newspaper reports, and they're on $600,000-700 grand each.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
It really is.
So they've got to sort that shit out, and once they've got that done, they're going to have freed up, $2 million odd bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And if they've got if he's developed those juniors really well, he's signing one superstar and some depth players, and it could be enough to change the team.
I wonder if, I wonder who will be available then for the Tigers.
Well, in 2 years' time, if they've got $2 million spare, there's a certain K Ponga looking for $1.5 million a year be on the market then.
And I've said this to you. If I was the Knights, if I was the Knights, I would just say, yeah, you got it, Kalen. Don't worry about it, and I would just sort it out, whatever they've got to do. Because I would guess that there's going to be a bunch of teams signing him. But if I would tell you what, if the Tigers could get him, man, it would be awesome, hey?
Yeah, they won't.
I know. He'll talk about going there, and then he'll sign for the Bulldogs.
We've got Warren McDonald as the recruitment guy, so he'll probably go and sign. Let's see. Darius Boyd.
Yeah.
Come on, he's a former Test player. He's also
Tarmo.
37.
Yeah, Tarmo. He'll get Tarmo.
Yeah, get Tarmo. Get him in there. Tony Williams.
Yeah.
Give him a lifeline. Jason Moody again.
Yeah, Jason Moody will come out of retirement, 46 years old. It's like, but he's kept himself in good shape.
I used to hear stories about him being out behind the locker rooms, smoking cigarettes and stuff before games, trying not to get caught. I don't know if they were true or not, but it just sounds bloody funny to me.
I hope so.
Doing that.
He was a pretty good player. He wasn't for the Tigers, but he was a pretty good player at his best.
His first 2 years at the Tigers, when he first came over, he was pretty good. Yeah. Oh, boy. So is there anything good to talk about?
Well, here's a question for you. Who are you going to, considering both of our teams are fucked in September for the finals, is there any team that you would see pleasure in winning the title or would get behind to a certain degree or anything like that?
Well, I'll be going for the Sharks because I need to live in this house.
Yeah, I get that.
But if they bow out, I hate to say it, but I think probably Canberra.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just like it when someone different wins the premiership.
Yeah.
And that's a good twist on the season, also the upcoming season. And I think that'd be pretty cool.
It'd be interesting.
I'd be happy for any of the 16 teams except Parramatta to win a premiership. No, I'll rephrase that. I've got nothing against Parramatta. Yeah. I just don't want to see Mitchell Moses win a title.
Could you imagine? Oh, man. That would be hilarious if Mitchell Moses ended up weirdly being the next Peter Sterling in that way. Like Parramatta just went on some ridiculous run and Mitchell Moses was the poster child for the NRL. It would be so bad.
That's never going to happen.
See, I kind of want the Storm to win, hey?
I don't.
Yeah, I get it. I know that I'm an outlier in that, in terms of being an opposition fan and all that. I really like watching the Storm. I like what they do. I like everything they do. I love Cameron Smith, Their
crusher tackles.
I love their crusher tackles. I think Barb deserved a fucking ring, a $15,000 ring on your Barb if you're listening. Yeah.
I was going to hit up Todd and say, you know what? Any chance my missus can get a $15,000 piece of jewelry as well? Because, she's married to someone who does a lot of work in rugby league.
Exactly. But it'd be,
I figured it might be a bit rude if I got needy and asked for it.
But do you reckon the cutoff point is 400 games when you get the $15,000 ring?
I don't know. Is the stipulation it has to be NRL games, or has James Graham's missus got something as well?
Well, people were bringing that up, hey?
Or maybe she got something that was worth $7,500 given he's spent half his career here.
Yeah, well, I don't count Super League games as first-grade games or even first-class games.
No, we know this.
Yeah, I've pointed that out during the week. I had a bunch of Poms upset at me about that, hey? If only their opinions mattered.
Yeah. I'll go into something else here. I posted a list tonight of the most expensive 17-man team for 2019.
I saw that.
Who played 10 games or less.
Yeah, go through it, because that was really good.
I think people were assuming I was talking about them being just shit players, but I'm not. I'm just saying that they were, injured or dropped for whatever reason, and they have only played 10 games this year or less, that's all. So, I'll go through the team, okay? You give me a rough idea as to how much you think this team would cost.
Okay.
Okay, so Gareth Widdop, Ryan Hall, Jack Bird, Joey Leilua, Tautai Moga, Josh Reynolds, Ash Taylor, Russell Packer, Friend, Ben Madaleno, Chris McQueen, Wade Graham, Guerra, Foran, James, Peets, and I was tossing up between Trent Hodgkinson or someone mentioned to me Shannon Boyd for the last spot.
Man, I was thinking, you know what? Not too much, and then you got to Foran. You got to Foran, and I was like, oh, Jesus, we're getting up now. Man, I would guess that that's around 10 million, the NRL's cap.
Yeah.
It's got to be close.
It'll go close, I reckon.
Yeah. damn. I mean, Teforin's on a whack himself.
He is.
Yeah, there's some good players in there, but, like, isn't it weird? Jack Bird, you know what? I remember when he was bursting onto the scene and they were talking about he had issues with arthritis. And I remember thinking, man, I don't know how much you can rely on a player that has those underlying issues. And he's just, I mean, he's played a little bit of good football, but at some point he just busted.
Yeah, he hasn't been disgraceful, but
no,
he's one of those players, and you see it a lot. They relocate and go downhill.
Yeah, they go for greener pastures and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, and like he had his spot set at the Sharks. He's playing really good out there in the centres. And then went to Brisbane. They were trying to turn him into a 5'8". They tried to put him back at centre, tried him at fullback. Because they kept moving him around, trying to justify the purchase, essentially. He never got settled anywhere and never got a chance to prove his value. And he's just sitting there, injured, not being able to get on the field, and everyone's hating him for it. And it just makes you wonder what he's going to do next, because there's no way knowing he's going to re-sign and stay there.
No, and can you imagine if it was Sherry and Bird in the centres for the Sharks? I mean, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
If he stayed healthy.
Yeah. It's crazy if you had those two there and he stayed healthy. That's a damn good centre pairing.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the best centre pairing in the league. Can't think of anyone else that jumps out at me in terms of centre pairings.
Surely the Tigers. Nah.
Oh, man.
Right.
We're going to have such a depressing September.
Well, what we should do, given we've been rather serious for quite a while here.
Yeah.
Have we had any emails?
Oh, yeah, let me have a look. Hang on a second. Go there, open that up. Go there, put my finger on there. That's what she said. Okay, load up then. Load up. Here we go, it's still loading up.
All right.
And we've got nothing. I know. Oh, hang on. Here's some from Sunday from Samuel. Sometimes it's not who you play, but when you play them. Big upsets over the years due to big-name players out due to injury or suspension.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if we're honest, the competition is pretty damn close. And I think if you're not dialed in and playing at 100% or close to it, then you have every chance of getting beaten. It doesn't matter which team you are.
Yeah, I think these days, unless you've got, there's certain players that are real linchpins, but, even if you took Cameron Smith out of the Storm, you chuck Brendan Smith in there at hooker, you're going to go all right. You kind of need more than one or two players out at the moment to be catastrophically affected, I would say. In terms of who's out there. And I think you saw that in last year's grand final where Cronk was basically a passenger and they still managed to win. I'm trying to think of, if there's a player in the NRL right now. Oh, well, I'll tell you one. I think Jason Taumalolo, and I think it's going to be really interesting this year, this weekend, because he's out this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how the Cowboys forwards go without him, because he might show that, not having him in the side, the Cowboys just go nowhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens as well.
And I think, you know what, another one, Kickow, when he isn't playing for the Panthers, we've got nothing in attack. Yeah. We have nothing.
Yeah, the only attacking player the Panthers have got is completely removed.
Yeah. If he's not playing, we basically are relying on, like kicks to the corners and Nathan Cleary running the ball himself.
It's almost like watching the Dragons.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the Dragons' best play is like a kick towards the post, and the halfback comes through and he scores a try.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I just got an email.
All right.
It's not exciting because it's from the Huddersfield Giants.
Oh, what's it say?
Simon Morford has named his 19-man squad for the game against Castleford this Sunday.
Nice. I'm really looking forward to Huddersfield versus Castleford.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'll go through the team line for me, okay? And you tell me which team in Australia they could beat.
Okay.
Darnell McIntosh, Jermaine McGilvery, Lee Gaskell, Cruz Leeming, Suai Matagi, Alex Mellor, Michael Lawrence, Adam O'Brien, Oliver Roberts, Aku Matai, Jake Wardle, Oliver Russell, Tom Holmes, Sebastian Ikahifo, Adam Wild, Sam Hewitt, Louis Senior, Innes Senior, Ollie Wilson. Could they beat the Storm?
No, I feel like they couldn't. Who was that team that? Remember, Russell Crowe used to put on games in a farm in the middle of nowhere, and he had a team that he used to bring in old players into. What was that?
I have no idea. You go into that one? You reckon they could beat them?
I reckon they could, because they used to have players, because Mark Guy played for them, and he did some big injury, and there was some sort of issue with like who was paying for his surgery. God, I wish I could remember the name of it.
You're saying Huddersfield could beat a team that's got Mark Guy in it?
Yeah, but like it was Mark Guy when he was about 40.
Yeah, you're saying Huddersfield could beat a team with Mark Guy at age 40.
That's a good point. I mean, he'd be the best forward on the field, right? But, it's still.
Yeah. Go through the Huddersfield list. Tell me who's going to be better than Mark Guy at 40.
I've got to look it up. Let me try and look it up. Hang on. Russell Crowe, Games, Farm. What was that place he used to live in?
Oh, somewhere on the Central Coast, someone. No,
yeah.
Yeah, it was Central Coast, wasn't it?
Central Coast. I'm pretty sure his wife owns it now. I can't find it.
I've sent you the Huddersfield team so you can have a quick look. Compare. Get back to me.
Okay, I'm trying to find. Hang on, I just opened the mail up. 11. No, it's just showing me all fucking refuses his dog entry to the grand. Fuck off. What about I know how. Was it? It wasn't. No, hang on. I've got a better way to find it. Mark Geyer injury. Russell Crowe. What was it called? Penrith International Pre-Season Sevens Tournament at Coffs Harbour. Oh, so maybe that was something a bit different, hey? Yeah, that was a bit different. Okay. Can you imagine MG playing sevens? Damn it. I just can't remember the name of the team. Anyway, I reckon that Huddersfield would beat them.
Okay. You seem confident.
Yeah. Well, I'm a rugby league expert, Andrew.
Well, yeah, I'm not debating that at all. That's not in question here.
I had some Poms pissing and moaning about me saying about the Titans had beat St Helens, hey?
They didn't agree?
No, they didn't agree at all. And, we went through both lineups, and I still stand by it. I think the Titans had smashed St Helens.
Yeah, the only difference I'd have is I would take the Saints halfback over Ash Taylor.
Yeah, and,
that's it.
The only thing you could say is that, where the fuck is Ash Taylor? What's he doing?
Don't know.
Yeah.
But at least the Saints halfback turns up and plays footy.
Exactly.
And so he gets a nod. I've got to respect that. At least he turns up and plays.
I picked a different player that I would swap out, and I can't remember who it was.
You said you'd have...
I'd have Lachlan Coote on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was it.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I'd put the Saints halfback in. I don't care who he is.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a player over in England who's got a name from the Flintstones?
Is his name Barney Rubble?
No, Will Maher.
Wilma. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. Wilma. Why would someone do that?
That's cruel.
That really is cruel.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Maher, you should have done better.
Yeah, just something else. Anything else.
Barry.
William Maher. Gosh. Terrible.
All right, so let's see. Have there been any comments in the Periscope feed? He asked, expecting the answer to be no.
Well, I haven't been looking at the Periscope feed at all.
I figured you hadn't. That's what I asked.
I don't know if it'll even come up. Hang on, let me see if it'll. If I can. Yeah, I can't even look at it.
It says we have 2 viewers.
That's pretty good. Yeah. One of them might be me. I'm doing lots of little love heart things right now with my thumb.
Self-love.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I've got pretty quick fingers, hey?
Yeah.
Just letting all the ladies out there know. I know, that got weird really quickly. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
This is going to be a really good one to upload, hey?
Yeah?
Yeah. We'll upload this for sure.
Alrighty.
Tell us about your Patreon.
Yeah, the Patreon. Mel's had a few people join up today, which has been great. If you're listening, just head over to patreon.com/RL Project. Make sure you type in RL Project. Don't just go with RLP. You'll get something that's not suitable for work.
Mm-hmm.
And donate to RL Project on there. Just $1.10 per month. That's it. If everybody who follows me on Twitter donate $1.10 per month, I'm sweet. I'm sweet. So, and that'll go towards the huge amount of work we've got to do it on the website there. So at the moment, it's about, I'll be as precise as possible, it's about 32% complete what's on the website.
Yeah, it's crazy how much work there is to do, like backfilling, all the historical stuff.
Yeah, there's about, even the admin stuff, like there's close to 7,000 comments that have to be moderated and added, deleted, whatever else, responded to. That's gone back a few years. There's so much stuff we've got that needs to be researched that's in the back end. There's all the data entry. There's all the games that we need to investigate, all the stuff that we also want to put in there that hasn't even been added to the site yet. You know, we want to look at putting in there the results for the reserve grade competition in Sydney and Queensland if possible. We want to get all the Queensland comp games, not just the Brisbane comp, but every comp in Queensland in there as well. We'd love to have the New South Wales country leagues in there. Probably even look at putting the New Zealand club competition in there. These are all stuff that we're open to putting in there, but you know, I'm the resources and I'm the research, and I need to be able to pay my bills so that I can do it. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
And the thing I don't think a lot of people realise is that the statistics that you take for a lot of the English game, especially, there's nowhere really to find it all in one place except for rugbyleagueproject.org.
Yeah, it goes for international games, a lot of the rep games. There's even a lot of rarely known games that are on there as well. A lot of people have forgotten about from the early days. We've got the score lines for everything there. We do have the team lists and the scorers as well. They all have to be transferred across physically, manually. Can't be done automatically. So I think the thing I looked at one day was the number of games that have been played in the NRL, somewhere around 8,000, I think, or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
From something like 1895 to 1929 in England. That's how long it took them to reach the same number of games that have been played in the NRL since 1908.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So there's almost 50,000 games that need to be added into the site just from the English club comps.
Yeah, and I mean, it takes time, and it takes...
Yeah.
And that's time that I know you have to sort of take away from, doing other things that you do. And that's why it would be fantastic for people to... And it's not about the website. It's for all of rugby league. Like, it's a real archive of rugby league information, and it's not being saved anywhere else in one place. It's very, very fractured. It's very all over the place, and to have it all going and set up and having it all on one website is absolutely fantastic for the game overall.
Yes. It's hard work. So many people got to get in touch with just to find the most meagerest of details, because we don't want to be seen as just recording the game, but there's a lot of people involved in a game of football that's important to it, and that includes coaches and referees.
Yeah,
we want those all in there as well. We want to try and get attendances in there if possible. And so trying to source all of that is damn hard work as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're trying to put in any details we can. The international database is possibly the most complete there is for a resource anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So much so, I mean, David Middleton used this in his last annual.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Plus, there's also, all the books that I want to write as well that I've started and haven't been able to finish because I need to spend time doing research and writing and stuff like that. So, and I'll tell you now, there's at least a dozen books there that I want to write,
mm-hmm.
Which I can't do either while I'm got bills to pay, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much, and like it really is. It's a resource for the entire game, and I hope that even if you can contribute $1 a month, like every single little shred helps. So if you can go on to Patreon, look up RL Project, and just every single little, even if it's 50 cents. I don't even know if you can do 50 cents. Can you do 50 cents?
No idea. Don't think so. I think it's in dollars only.
Dollars, okay. Just do $1. $1's fine.
Yeah. And worth noting too, it is in US dollars.
Yeah.
I found that out only recently. So yeah, be mindful of that, because with the current currency, that's about, I don't know, $1.40 Australian or something like that.
Yeah, it's something around that. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, even $1.40 is nothing. $1.40 is absolutely nothing. And like, there'll be nobody that's online that has not gone to your website at some point.
Yeah, and I've got plenty of people who are well known who support the patron there. I mean, Andrew Voss and Yvonne Sampson from Fox Sports.
Yeah,
they're both very proudly announced that they support the website on there, and they kick in a few dollars every month.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to put tons in. I think the most being put in there is $25 a month by someone.
That's awesome.
But most people do between $2 and $5 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm not even asking for that much, just $1 or $2 piece of, that'd be it.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Not only will be helping Rugby League Project, but if you're on Twitter, you can ask me stat stuff, because all I'm doing is Rugby League Project stuff and stats. Ask me a question, I'll answer it.
And the other thing is too, if you contribute to the RL Project Patreon, we will be able to do even more podcasts.
Well, this is true.
And we know that you want more podcasts.
Well, the other thing too is if you're the sort of person that on Twitter who likes getting followers, then if you donate to me on Twitter, then you'll get at least 2 Twitter accounts following, and that'll be mine and the RLP one.
And I'll follow them too.
Well, there you go. Look at that.
From now on, yeah, I'll follow them too.
So, if that's your bag, that's a way of getting a few extra followers there. We'll retweet some of your stuff.
Exactly, $1.40 and you get 3 followers. And 3 high-profile ones too.
And between the 3 of us, that's 14,000 followers that we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the market you're tapping into.
Exactly. I mean, Andrew's got some wonderful rugby league people that follow him, and so does Rugby League Project. I've got 7,000 something absolute pricks that follow me.
Well, let's be honest, not all of them are.
Not all of them. There's like probably 15 or 20 of them that aren't pricks.
Now, do we have any guests coming up? And should we reveal them? Should we keep them secret?
That's a good question. Look, I actually have to talk to you about a guest we're going to have on Tuesday, hey? Oh, no, I talked to you.
Yeah, you told me about that one.
Yeah, I talked to you about that one.
Another she. There's a clue for the humans.
Yeah, it's a she.
It's a she.
We're talking to a female. Oh, yeah.
She's a lady.
She's a lady.
Don't know what we're going to talk about.
I do.
Okay.
There's plenty to talk about. There's heaps to talk about. But we've got some, we're going to get a few followers on, which will be interesting. We've got some very high profile people that we're trying to get on. That'll be good. Who else? There's someone I was going to contact today, actually. Who was it? Damn it. I was going to get in contact. I can't remember who it is now. I'll remember tomorrow. But yeah, I was going to get... Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's in regards to players.
That broke it down a fair bit.
Yeah. It's in regards to...
Is it Isaac Moses?
No, because he's all about himself.
Okay. Is Trent Barrett?
No, because he doesn't do anything for players.
He educates them.
Yeah, he's just,
he gets some chairs.
Gets some chairs, teaches them how to be... He teaches all of the 18-year-old superstars how to become 20-year-old superstars.
He educates them?
Yeah.
He takes credit for their work?
Can you imagine? He took fucking credit for how Manly were going. That's embarrassing.
Who else could it be? Is it Paul Crawley?
No, it's somebody that's not got those issues. Man, I pulled that back. I pulled that right back.
A long way back.
I really just I was going to go in for it. That's like 2 more beers and we would have had an issue. We would have had to do an edit.
After you said, nah, I can hear the brakes at 300 miles an hour. There was labouring going on. Stop!
That's the little angel on my shoulder just pulling the reins hard, because man, 2 more beers and we're in trouble.
Wow, how long have we been going for?
That's what she said. Let me have a look. It's got to have been let's have a look here.
We've been an hour.
Yeah. It's been a good episode. I've had fun. Have you had fun?
Yeah, it's been entertaining. Did we have any comments on the what is it? Periscope?
I still didn't look.
Good work.
I still haven't been looking. I've got no comments on my Twitter, I don't think. Lots of comments about Barrett.
What are some of they?
Oh, just like how he's shit. I had Simon_David on Twitter saying he just finished listening to yesterday's podcasts on refs and the media, so I'm ready for continuation of Fergo and the Freak Marathon. So it's nice to have him on board. Christy Davis, so too. She's always a big supporter. Matt Addard's always a big supporter. My
better half has a friend who also goes for the Sharks, and he's from down Victoria way.
Yeah.
Today, I believe he went for a drive up to Sydney. He's going to go up there and watch the Sharks play this weekend. Mm-hmm. And he said, his name's Nathan.
Yes.
And he said he was listening to the last 6 or 7 episodes of Fergo and the Freak on his journey up there.
Oh, really?
And I went, well, thank you for your support. Music would probably be better. But good on him.
Whenever I've done long-term drives, like long-distance drives is what they actually are called, I love listening to podcasts over music.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. I used to listen to Dan Carlin a lot. He's got Hardcore History podcast.
Yes, you got me on them. They're very good.
Yeah, I absolutely love those podcasts. He hasn't done one for about, might have been 11 months since his last one came out.
He's probably still recording it. I mean, they do go for about 15 hours each.
They do. They go for ages. It's funny because you can start off a series. He'll do like a 3 or 5 part series, and it'll go over 2 years. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah. No, they're brilliant.
Yeah, that's outside of our podcast, which I listen to religiously. As soon as we finish recording, I start listening to ours. But Hardcore History is my favourite podcast.
Well, that's a quality control thing, is what you're doing there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Oh dear, I didn't know that.
A lot of rugby league ones.
Yeah.
So I'm in touch with the rugby league podcasting community.
Yeah.
Well, the ones I'm on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ours, full credit to the boys. I'm on there doing stats every week.
Yeah.
Almost cost them a guest with a stat I made in the last episode.
What was that? What was that one? Can you start?
I made a joke about Aaron Woods.
Oh, he wasn't going to come on.
I think they're working on getting him on as a guest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I might have to butter him up and do a good one next week.
Yeah, maybe you could talk about how many cuddles he likes to make in a game or something.
Well, the one I made was saying that he made his first post-contact meter since 2016.
Are you serious? That's
it's a bit harsh.
That is pretty full on, but harsh but fair.
So I'll have to talk him up in the next one to make things right again. League Digest.
Yes.
Yeah, great. They're doing this great series at the moment on the Super League War. They're about to get into when the war kicked off. April 1.
Yep.
That's where they're at. That's going to be next week's episode. So if you haven't tuned into it, get over there, listen to the previous episodes where it builds it all up and talks about the precursors to it and everything else, and then strap yourself in for the carnage that's about to come along there.
Mm-hmm.
Sports Best Friends, a couple of West Tigers fans and a few other people talking footy.
Mm-hmm.
That one's not too bad. Who else is there? Woody and Slugs.
Yep.
Don't mind
I follow that.
I'm keeping the best one till the end, so I'll keep going. Who else is there? Legal Counsel.
Yep.
Tune into them. Dead in Goal. That's James Smith, friend of the show.
Yeah.
He doesn't do a lot of episodes on there, but when he does, absolutely brilliant. So check them out.
They're awesome.
What else is there? What's that Kangaroos one?
Chasing Kangaroos.
Yeah, that one. I keep forgetting the name of it. Chasing Kangaroos. I'm a few episodes behind that one, so I've got to catch up on that.
Mm-hmm. There's the American Rugby League one as well.
Yeah, I was listening to that last year. I've got to catch up on a few of those as well.
Yep.
There's also one about the Toronto Wolfpack, which I've been told about and haven't listened to yet, so I've got to get into that one.
Yep.
What else is it? The Voluntary Tackle.
Yep.
I'm a fan of that one. It's a Rugby League by the Fireplace, I think, is another one.
Yeah, I've followed them for years, hey?
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
God, who else is there? I'm sure there's others. I've just forgotten them. Oh, yeah, there's Rugby Reloaded with Tony Collins.
Yeah,
If you want like the full history of a certain aspect of the game broken down in 10 minutes, bam, he's your man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the only rugby league historian with a doctorate or a PhD or something like that.
You know what? I think there's two of them now because I believe Victoria Dawson also has a doctorate in rugby league history.
Really?
Yes.
She sounds like someone to make a great guest.
We're going to try and get her on.
Because the bloke I mentioned just before is keen to come on as a guest. I've just got to set up a time with him.
Yeah.
And we've got to figure out what the hell we're going to talk about because he's going to make us look like absolute idiots.
Yes, we
need to find a topic that we can at least be competitive in.
We'll be like football oval shaped.
I like the footies.
Footy's really good. We're gonna have to. It'll be like a real coach talking to Trent Barrett.
Exactly. That is exactly what it'd be like. So yeah, I went through a fair whack there. I'm pretty sure that was it. I can't remember if there was more or not.
The referees one during the week.
Yeah. That's the NRL podcast, the one that Casey Badger does with her husband.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it like that. I know her husband's name, but I'm saying the important person first.
Exactly. We're big Casey fans.
Got that badge.
Yeah.
I put out a tweet to Casey today. I told her about an article I wrote years ago about the man who refereed in round 1, 1908 by the name of Ted Hooper.
Yep.
And he's also the only first-grade referee in the main comp who refereed 2 games in a row on the same day. And I said,
"Oh wow!"
And I asked her, "Is there any referee today who thinks that they could do that?" And she mentioned her husband, and I said, "Right, Magic Round next year, he's lining up. He's got to do 2 games in a row, on the same day." Because this is the thing, okay? It wasn't like this bloke Ted Hooper had much time between it either. Okay, so the first game he did was kicked off at 2:00. The second game kicked off at 3:30.
Oh wow! Holy crap!
Yeah. He had 10 minutes between the 2 games. That's it.
Tell us about it. Was it at the same stadium?
Yeah, Wentworth Park.
Holy shit!
It was 1908.
Wow. See, I mean, to do it now, there's going to be a level of physical fitness you're going to have, and I guess the reason why the NRL would probably be reluctant to have it happen is just for the mental fatigue side of it, and the referees are so open to criticism as it is. It would be so easy for any referee, if they're doing their second game, for some idiot to say, "Oh well, they didn't call this right because they were tired because they've already done a game." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I don't. I think if they're physically able to, and they've, I think mentally, mental fatigue is obviously something that would have to be taken into account. But I've got no doubt that they could do it.
Well, yeah, it's phenomenal. Edward Hooper's got a fascinating story. He actually passed away in Brisbane when. This is long after he retired as a referee, by the way. But they did this thing between, I think it might have been a game between New South Wales and Queensland, up in Queensland. And at half time, they did, for entertainment, they had 2 teams of referees play against each other.
Wow.
And he refereed that game. And after the 10-minute game had ended, he walked down the tunnel, he waved to everyone who were all cheering and having a bit of a laugh, or as the media at the time said, a hoot.
Yeah.
He waved to everyone, walked down the tunnel, and he died in the shower.
No! He died in the shower?
Yep. And I think from memory he might have been 54 years old.
Holy crap.
He was a surf lifesaver for most of his years. He was a very fit, healthy man.
Yeah.
But yeah, passed away at age 54. He used to work on the beaches out of Bondi.
Yeah.
He managed the first New South Wales team to play a game in Victoria.
Oh,
That was against England in 1914. And he also took a New South Wales team over to New Zealand as their manager, and had a unique situation over there where they went to one ground. I wish I had the thing open and give you better detail, but they went to one ground, and the rugby union officials, I believe, went to the ground during the night before the league game and dismantled one of the grandstands. And when the league officials turned up the next day, they saw it was all broken down. So they rallied some of the people in the village who were keen rugby league fans, and everyone, including the players, all got together and built a brand new grandstand there just in time for kickoff.
Holy crap, that's incredible. Wow.
He's a mover and a shaker. And when in 1908, when he became a referee, the Giltinan decided that every referee should get paid for every game they officiate, because they're important to the game.
Yeah.
The referees all agreed that they would not take the money. Instead, they asked that the league keeps the money in its own coffers to make sure it gets itself set up and running first.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's why you got to respect the referees.
Because you know what's interesting?
I was going to say, because when you realise that the game only just had money in the bank after 1909, it makes you wonder whether that would have been the case if the referees had have accepted the payments.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's interesting about the early years is that the referees weren't just... I mean, these days the referees are almost compartmentalised. You know what I mean? They're referees, they do the games, and that's it. They kind of almost disappear. And, you know, they've got the podcast now, which is really cool, but... They don't really get too involved in anything else outside of it, whereas in the early days, they were very much involved in the administration of not only the game, but teams themselves. It's kind of interesting that over time they've changed from that.
Yeah. It's fascinating, the stuff they were doing back then and how well they're respected by everyone. So when he died, the funeral was attended by tons and tons of players from the game, past and present. Mm-hmm. Huge funeral. I think shortly after he retired as a club manager, team manager, which I think was in around World War I period, he was made a life member of the New South Wales Rugby League.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they respected the referees hugely back then.
It makes you wonder if, I mean, because back then, and I guess even now, like, if referees were allowed to be more, and I can understand why there needs to be that almost disconnect from the teams, because you can't have any thoughts of, or even any suggestions of bias towards team A, B or C, because, you know, they've been involved in the preparation for that team, or, you know, been involved in, say, the New South Wales or the Queensland team or anything like that. But I guess back then, people involved in the game, they really understood that, you know, they were talking to people that were experts in the rules of the game. And I mean, back then the rules of the game changed very significantly at times, and they understood that these people went out and they did a job that was very important for the game. And because they're also involved in the administration of the game, like, these people would have been, like, basically about as high up in terms of like a love for the game and a commitment to the game as you could get, even with players.
No, that's right. It's funny you're talking about the referees couldn't really have an alliance with teams, because even in 1908, when the New Zealand Maori side came over, they weren't too clued up on how the game should be played. So Sydney referee George Boss decided to teach them how the game was played, and he toured around with the team and occasionally refereed games that they were in.
Damn, I love stories like that, hey? Stories like that are the heart and soul of rugby league, in my opinion, where you get just these little moments where it's like someone takes it upon themselves to spread the wings of rugby league, and I just love it. I absolutely love that stuff like that.
Yeah, it's amazing what the referees did in the early days just to help the game out. I mean, they didn't need to. There was no requirement for them. They didn't need to sit there and say, no, we don't want to take the money. Because I believe referees in rugby union got paid.
Yeah. Really? And the players didn't?
Yeah. Well, because the referees aren't playing the game. You know, you can't... It doesn't matter if you're an amateur or a professional as a referee.
That's a good point, yeah.
So... the referees in the league could very easily have gone back to being rugby union refs, I guess, if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But, you know, they said, no, it's okay. Keep the money. Let's make sure this game gets off the ground first. Their heart was in the right place, and I think that is something that's always been the case, is rugby league referees have always had the game first. And it's indoctrinated in the actual referees from the very first guys who did the job.
Yeah, and
carried through the whole way through.
And they've still got it, and that absolute love for the game, because it's hard to be a referee. I mean, especially these days, it's very, very hard to be a referee, and there's this weird thing of like, and look, from an outsider's point of view, and that's what I consider myself to be, an outsider. I'm not involved in the game. It feels like the referees would feel like outsiders from the game as well, to a certain extent, and I might be wrong about that. We might get Casey Badger back on and ask her about that in the future when she's on again. But yeah, I would love to know if the referees these days would love to expand their roles within the game, even if it's through teaching, you know, kids how to play the game a little bit better, or teaching them the rules of the game or something like that. I wonder if they would embrace... in fact, I know they'd embrace something like that. I know they'd love something like that, but I wonder if the NRL would want that to happen.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I do like what Casey and Gavin are doing though with their podcasts and stuff like that. So I think that's brilliant. So yeah, definitely need to get it back on and ask her some more stuff. We didn't even touch the surface of what we wanted to ask her. So.
No, and I think, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think in terms of the most fun we've had during the podcast, I think that's probably I know it's number one for me.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a great episode.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was just awesome. I know that when we finished that episode, we both felt like that was the best one we'd done. It was just great.
We're sort of sitting there half pissed off we couldn't speak to her longer, but you know, she's obviously intensely busy, even on a day off, as we learnt. And we'll have to try and probably get onto her during the off season when her schedule may not be as heavy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have listened back to that episode, and there's a couple of questions I think that I would love to have asked, but we just didn't have the time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just having a read on Twitter here.
Mm-hmm.
And the Oracle is on there. And he's made a pretty bold claim, but it ties in with some of the rhetoric, I guess, at the Daily Telegraph.
Okay.
He says, has there been a more disliked administrator in NRL history than Todd Greenberg? And it's all over his gift to Cameron Smith's wife. And he says, I look forward to the day he is sacked or steps down. And I'd have to say, how many times has that sentence been said before? Has there been a more disliked administrator in NRL history than insert name here?
Yeah, I would guess.
Single one.
Yeah, I was about to say from 1907.
Yep.
Well, I mean, even JJ Gilton, and he gets off the boat and they say, listen, JJ, we've got some bad news for you, man.
Yeah, you've already been sacked. You didn't have a say in
it. So, yeah. I mean, like, I even think in our lifetimes, I mean, people fucking hated Arco, all right?
Yeah.
And then, they hated Neil Whittaker, and then they fucking hated David Gallup. Like, there's just been no one that's been a rugby league's top dog and has been liked.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's impossible to be.
Yeah.
Even Humphries was hated on because of his whole talk of wanting to condense the competition and make it smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how this rhetoric just continues on and on and on and on and on. And it comes from the media who have never administered any sporting competition ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So how the hell would they know what a good administrator is? The fact that they keep asking for them to be sacked and get new ones in there who they say, oh, we've got a new administrator, this is going to be fantastic, and then a few years later they're talking them down again, shows that they don't even know what the administrator is supposed to be doing.
And we had, even Dave Smith, and I'm trying, what was the name of that dude that come over from Rugby Union, the Kiwi dude?
Was it Moffat?
David Moffat, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, look, I don't think Dave Smith was all that bad.
No, neither did I.
Because what he did is he turned the rugby league from a bunch of blokes administrating it to a professionally run business.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not even that opposed to Greenberg. I'm not saying he's done a great job, but I don't think he's been the worst we've ever had. He's just been okay. I don't get passionately upset about the stuff he's done or he hasn't done.
See, I'm not a fan of him, and it's for more along the lines of I think he's a politician, and I've said before that I think we need an absolute iron-fisted dictator running this sport, and I think Greenberg is more interested in having morning teas and photo ops than doing the things that I think the game needs.
But the problem is, and I am going to be defending him a bit here, is part of the reason why he has to go and do all of that is because the player's misbehaving all the fucking time.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of the reason why he's doing it. He's got to go out there and start being friendly with everyone and doing these things and trying to put the game in a positive light. That's pretty much all he does, is that stuff.
I want to ask you, what did you think of this whole thing about the NRL buying a $15,000 diamond ring for Cameron Smith's wife?
Stupid.
Uh-huh.
I can see why they've done it. I understand the sentiment. I just don't think it was necessary. Like, if you're going to spend... I can understand, they're coming along the lines of, behind every good man is a greater woman, that sort of angle.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. But when that money's designed for the game of rugby league, then I don't see how that was necessary. Especially given that it's not like Cameron Smith has been getting around on $40,000 a year either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they've done pretty well out of rugby league.
Yeah.
So it was just unnecessary. I think it was a stupid decision. I'm not going to sit there and say that he needs to be sacked over it. I just think it was just a dumb judgment call. I understand the good sentiment behind it. I can't criticise him for having a good intentions and good sentiment, but yeah, it's not his money to be doing that with.
Yeah, I agree. Even if it was a couple of $1,000, I'd be like, listen, it's a couple of $1,000, but $15,000 is a significant amount of money.
That's heavy for a piece of jewellery. That is heavy.
That's a whack. And the thing is too, like as you say, it's not like Cameron has not been on close on. I mean, he's got to have been around $1 million a year for a certain number of years,
Yeah.
He's always been in the rep sides, so he's got that extra money as well.
He's testimonial.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, I don't understand it, and I think that it was extremely tone deaf. I think that there was probably an element in there that maybe had to do with women in league, but was just off kilter.
I think the announcement of it was to coincide with women in league. Look at how great we are with women. And I don't see how that was. Like, I understand he's recognising the wives. That's good. Do that. That's fine. You don't need to give them a $15,000 ring.
No, not at all. And there's fantastic women that work in rugby league, and they work thanklessly. They are working every day for rugby league, and you don't hear about them. And there's a lot of them that don't look for the spotlight. They just love the game and they do their job, and they get on with it.
Barb Smith didn't go looking for it either, though. She didn't go to the NRL and say, I want something because my husband played 400 games. She's never been in the media.
That's true. But, and my criticism isn't of her.
No, I understand that. But it's just, it shows how nuts the whole thing is.
Yeah, and very tone deaf. And look, it's brought a focus on her that is not needed, and it's brought negative thoughts and energy on towards her, and negative focus on towards her, and it just, I think it was very, as I said, I think it was very tone deaf by the NRL, and I think if they had their time over again, they might have done something different in terms of maybe waited for Cameron to retire and done something then that was maybe not so much towards like in a diamond ring, but maybe something for him and his family rather than a gift.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been a better thing to do. It's just a bit weird. And a ring, a $15,000 ring, I mean, when I think of a $15,000 ring, I'm thinking of something you give someone when you want to propose to them.
Yeah, I mean...
That's a whack for just
an
ornamental piece of jewellery.
That's 3 or 4 times what I would propose with. Like, what the hell, man? That's the sort of ring that, like... No, I'm pulling it back. Sorry.
I heard the break.
I'm sorry, listeners.
I was hearing the handbrake again.
Yeah, I pulled on that.
I went quite sad. I wonder if the brake will fail.
I wish I could say what. It's so funny too. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the dumb decision. So
it was. Oh shit, man. Well, September, what are we gonna do with ourselves?
Yeah, that's a damn good question.
You're a Sharks fan. I'm a Storm fan. Imagine if they made the grand final. That'd be fun.
We could talk about how each team that we support had less severe cheating than the other.
Yeah, we could line up.
We could have a stalemate in the end and no one wins.
Yeah, we could do like our preview could just be all of their worst cheating moments, hey?
That'll take up an hour.
That would be fantastic, yeah, an hour. Oh, shit.
There's a full episode right there.
That'd be fantastic. See, we're setting things up for the future.
Here we go. Now, one other thing we need to discuss is we did a poll recently on the podcast Twitter account for whether we should have music as part of the show or not.
Yes.
And a slightly overwhelming response. That doesn't really work as a term, but I'll go with it anyway.
Yeah.
About 60% said yes. And we're not fully convinced that that's enough to persuade us to do it.
We're not sure.
It is a majority. So we're thinking of some music. We had someone suggest that we should do a song with Freak in it, mashed up with Fergalicious.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a pretty good idea. I've never heard the song Fergalicious because I'm a straight man. So I've got no idea what it sounds like. Yeah. You know, there's heaps of songs with Freak in it. Like there's Freak on a Leash. Yeah, there's
Freak on a Leash, classic track.
Yep, there's obviously the most classic of all, Super Freak by Rick James. Yes. So yeah, there's a number of, but there's not too much Ferg or Fergo and stuff. So Fergalicious, That's pretty damn close.
Yeah, there's another one which you could use based on the theme song that Full Credit to the Boys made for me over there. And that's they changed Scatman to Statman.
Yeah, we could do that.
So we just rip them off. Someone else has ripped them off already, so we could do that again. But the thing is, too, is that those songs aren't the type of music that you or I listen to. We both listen to the Fergalicious and that sort of stuff. Yeah. It's pop dance songs. We don't listen to that. Yeah.
I do listen to Rick James, though.
Everyone does.
I love Rick James.
Everyone does. So yeah, we've got to figure out something, and in the end, as much as we want it to feel like we respect your opinions and your thoughts, in the end, we are going to do whatever the hell we want to do.
Yeah, I think what Andrew's saying is, shut the fuck up.
No, so we take our cues from the public. So they've said we need to get a theme song. So we're going, okay, we'll get a theme song. Don't tell us what theme song it is. We'll make that decision for ourselves. We'll tell you what we like.
You'll get what you get, and you'll be thankful for it. Damn it.
Yeah. So also doing mashups and songs that requires A, work, and B, probably licensing.
Some sort of talent.
Yeah. So in the end, Freaky's going to make something up.
Yeah.
With a few bottles and a couple of tins and, a few bones from a former employee in the cage out the back.
Pretty much. Maybe what we could do is do like a vote where we ask what type of intro music, like should we do a country intro, should we do a rock intro, should we do like just shit that's weird sound effects, should we do things that we've said previously on the podcast as an intro. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. What is this here? Just reading my Twitter account here.
Yeah, have we got some news, have we?
No, I made a comment. The article said, for mine, the coach of the year is a no-brainer. It's a classic two-horse race. Brad Arthur has taken the Eels from the spoon to being entrenched in the 8th, and Hazard has taken Manly from 15th to 4th. And he thinks Arthur will win. And
okay.
I decided to do a little bit of devil's advocate, and just a little bit of baiting. It's just the response I get. And I said, Arthur also took them to that spoon.
Yes, that's a very good point, Andrew.
Hasler, Maguire, Morris, Pay have all done phenomenal things given their circumstances and should be the 4 nominees. And someone just replied and said, Morris has taken a top 4 team to outside the 8. Now, let's also remember that that's a top 4 team that was besieged with injuries. And he took over the club in, January, after the head coach got the arse.
Yep.
And
for life.
And they'd been misbehaving all off-season.
Yep.
He's brought through a ton of rookies and managed to keep them in the hunt still.
Yeah.
Not bad for a bloke in his first year of the job without any preparation. Maguire will miss the 8. Yeah. Look at the cattle he has to work with.
Yeah, just getting as close as he has is like a miracle.
Yeah. And the Tigers have been missing the 8 for 4 years. He's actually made them defensively solid and consistent to some degree. Pay plays the worst lot of footy in the comp, and until a few weeks ago was dead last. Yeah, until a few weeks ago. Now they've won a heap of games, and they actually could be about to pass the Dragons on the ladder and climbing further up.
It's almost as though he took the worst lineup in the league and has slowly made them better.
Yeah, and look at them. He had the worst cap and the worst squad of any team, and they are not last. And they're moving up the ladder. Yeah.
And playing above themselves. Like, that's the thing about Maguire's team and Pay's team, is they're both playing above themselves. And it's just unquestionable.
Yeah, so there you go.
Brad Arthur, Coach of the Year. I wish that there was all of the acid in the world that you could do that would make anybody ever think that Brad Arthur should be the coach of the year. I mean, dead set.
I'm not even think Parramatta fans would believe that. He got them to the finals, then he got them a spoon, and he's got them back into the finals again. If he was any good coach, he wouldn't have been getting them from the spoon in the first place.
Yeah, and they've been lucky that there's been a bunch of teams that have underperformed too.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, he's had the Panthers, the Broncos, the Dragons should have all been in the top 8, as should Cronulla.
Cronulla, yep.
But because of all the dramas that went on with those clubs, either during the season or in the off-season, there's 4 teams. It's not that
leaves Parramatta out.
And they're not locked in yet. They're very, very close, but they're not locked in yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Brisbane and Cronulla win all of their remaining games and Parramatta lose all of theirs, who knows what will happen with the points difference.
All we know is that Brad Arthur would get a contract extension.
Yeah, he needs one. And
he just needs 10 years. You know?
Why does he need a contract extension? So that no one else's club picks him up.
Exactly. I've heard Manly hasn't put in an offer for him.
Would he be an upgrade on McGregor?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. Damn, that's a really good question.
I'll say this. McGregor has never won a wooden spoon.
That's a very good point. That's a really good point. If I had to choose between the two, man, that's so difficult. I think I'd choose McGregor. Oh, man, I don't know. Because McGregor's got a way better lineup.
That's exactly right. He does.
That's the problem with it. Like, and at times he's got their defence looking really good, but that fucking lineup is a top 4 team. They're a top 4 team, without question. And look at them. They're terrible. I wish they just need to sign Trent Barrett from Penrith and get it done with.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a hometown boy. He's from, he used to play for the Illawarra Steelers. He'd be great for the Dragons.
Did Barrett sign to a set length of contract?
I haven't seen any set length, no.
Because there was one thing that I was glad about that decision.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
Yeah.
It's given us content for as long as he's there. Like, whenever we do an episode where you feel, we don't have anything to talk about, I'll just say, do you want to talk about the Panthers and Trent Barrett? Okay, you get a fire up, and then we've got another fiery episode, and we're just done. We can just do that every second week.
You know what it reminded me of? Because I used to just go off my head about Matthew Elliott down at the Canberra Raiders. Like, even before he got there and they were talking to him, I was like, this is going to be a disaster. And I went off for years about that. And then when he turned up at Penrith, and it was like, this is the rugby league gods teaching me a lesson. And I felt like the same way when I found out Trent Barrett was coming to Penrith.
The thing that you need to worry about here is that if Penrith miss the finals and they don't make the finals next year, there's one bloke who's perfectly positioned to take over the head coaching role.
Shut up.
Yeah. That's what you need to worry about.
I know.
Then we'll be having discussions that I can picture the episode now. Was Matthew Elliott a better coach than Trent Barrett currently is? And you'll be sitting there having conniptions. You'll be conflicted, and you'll go, you know what? I think Elliott's better. And it's going to come to that. And it's going to be the most glorious episode ever.
But what would Trent Barrett be able to whinge about? Because the Panthers have this amazing facility.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He'll have nothing to whinge about. He'll still be shit.
Yeah.
In the end, your argument for saying Elliott was better is the fact that he never took praise for something he never did.
I remember when Elliott was coaching us, and I remember there was that one year we got second place, and it was like kind of we pulled it out of our ass. And I remember people on Twitter saying to me, "Oh, see, he's a good coach. We got second place." Man, I could have burnt the world to the ground. I could have fucking set everything on fire. I was so fucking angry because I knew that it meant that we'd have him for years to come.
Yeah, it's just like for a few more years.
I'm still not over Matthew Elliott's time at the Panthers, hey?
We need to settle you down and get a full episode out of you over that.
Yeah, I've got PTSD over it.
Oh, jeez. You need to have a purge.
I do. I should do is sit down, look at some of the lowlights, and because there's no highlights of the time. And I mean, it was like him and Matt Adamson and Craig Gowan, and it's just fuck. None of it's good. None of it's good. Not a damn shred of it is good.
Well, there you go. We might leave that cherry for some time down the track. That's going to keep people waiting on bated breath for that episode.
Yeah, we'll bring it to you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Maybe for that one I should get just absolutely sloshed.
Well, sloshed to the point where you can still be coherent.
Yeah, like where I'm lying down on the ground, holding the microphone against my face, like the side of my face, and just being like, you know what,
one beer back from that point.
Yeah, exactly. Just one.
Yeah. As soon as you say, I'm going to have a lie down, go, okay, we're going to have to close the episode.
Yeah. See, the problem is I would be more likely to be like, I've been lying down on the ground for half an hour or so. I didn't even realise when it happened.
It's so warm down here. Oh, I'm sleeping on the dog again.
Why isn't he breathing?
He'd still breathe.
I remember in The Sopranos when Christopher Moltisanti was in a drug-induced haze. I think he was using heroin, and he sat down on the dog. It wasn't funny at all. I know I laughed, but it wasn't funny at all.
So that's another thing I never watched was The Sopranos.
Oh, really?
No.
You missed Adriana going, Christopher. Anyway.
And the way they pronounce the word whores.
Who is? I love it. I still, not that I say the word very often because it's disrespectful to women. But when you say who is, it's the best.
All right. Well, now, just to quickly recap, we spoke about podcasts that I like, and I intentionally left one off because I wanted to mention it right at the end.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
The Starting Block. Follow them on Twitter at The Starting Block. Drop the K on the end. Tune in every Wednesday night on Twitter, Periscope. They're on there. They've got their own podcast. It's just the Periscope ones turned into an episode. Subscribe to them. Like them. They are just fucking hilarious bastards. Yeah,
take them within yourself and take them deep because you will not regret it.
Bask in their gloriness. That's not even a word, but they deserve a word. Just made up. Gloriness. That's them.
I'm telling you, that episode they did that was only for people that watched it live, damn, that was so good. That was so good.
See, I only caught about half an hour of it, and what I did saw was brilliant.
Yeah.
I just wish I could have seen the whole thing. But anyway, it's lost into the ether now.
Yeah.
Damn, Mark Zuckerberg's probably got a hold of it somewhere.
Probably.
So, on that fantastic note, we might wrap up this episode. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed being able to purge after watching the Penrith Panthers just drop their guts on Suncorp Stadium. Their season goes into the ground that used to be a cemetery with all of the other corpses that are underneath Suncorp Stadium. Our season is over, in my opinion, and I'm not happy about it. But what can you do? I look forward to the NBA season starting soon.
Yeah, and at the end of the NBA season, you get Trent Barrett at the Panthers.
Fuck you.
That's where you end an episode. That was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll, I don't know, are we going to do another live show this weekend? Maybe.
What games have we got? Let's have a quick look at the games, because I always forget the games. I don't forget the games, really. I'm a rugby league expert. So we've got Knights versus Cowboys tomorrow. I believe you said you're doing Storm versus Raiders for a website.
Yeah.
And then Rabbitohs versus Bulldogs. I don't mind doing any games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we might ask the public which one they want us to do. We'll do a poll.
Yeah, there's not any killer games. I mean, normally the Sharks versus Dragons is a kick-ass game, but, the Dragons are playing like garbage this year, so the Sharks should just annihilate them.
With any luck.
Yeah. They really need Trent Barrett at the Dragons. They really, really do. Please.
Yeah, it looks like they've made the wrong decision and not gone local.
Exactly.
I might regret that. Well, on that miserable note, we'll close this up. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll catch you all later.
Goodbye, world.